So our main mission is we help people start and grow businesses. And so a business incubator is a physical place where that happens. So what we've done by founding Ithaca Startup Works in downtown Ithaca is create a place where people can go who want to start and grow businesses. They can go and get programming, assistance, support, as well as a place to work.
And when did the idea to actually start Rev come about? Was there any kind of light bulb moment that someone had where they thought, hey, we need this in Ithaca?
So that's a really good question. I think it's been recognized as a need in the entrepreneurial community for quite some time. I've been an entrepreneur myself. I've advised companies, started companies, and we've recognized that as something that, frankly, was something that Ithaca could benefit from for quite a while. I don't want to say or suggest that we were the only ones to have had that recognition either. I think that it's been a long time coming from a lot of people, and there are some important things that came together that enabled it to happen right now.
And you mentioned Ithaca was maybe a place where this need was being felt. I'm wondering why Ithaca as opposed to, say, another town in the Southern Tier?
Sure. So we're also part of the Southern Tier Innovation Hotspot, which is actually kind of a consortium organization, and it's something that I also work on in my group at Cornell. We partner with Binghamton University and with Corning. So there are other business incubators in the Southern Tier, including in Painted Post outside of Corning and in Binghamton, Vestal technically at Binghamton University. And then there's a life sciences business incubator that's already been up and running at Cornell called the McGovern Center. And so Ithaca, has a few characteristics of being certainly, as we all know, a college town, a very highly educated population. We have more people in Ithaca with master's and PhD degrees than most counties around the state have that are college educated at all. And so there's a great kind of foundational asset of knowledge and innovation that people have been successfully capitalizing on for quite some time. There's a really good, strong track record of innovation and entrepreneurship in Ithaca. And what we all, I think, felt is that we would be better off if it was more physically manifested as a place for people to go, so that as new people who join that community, they've got a place to check into.
And once this idea was hatched to make Rev a reality, what kind of work actually had to take place to open this physical space up to entrepreneurs in the community?
Yeah, so it's been a few things. So first is we needed to secure both capital funding as well as operating funding. So the capital funding came from a grant through New York State that was recommended by Southern Tier's Regional Economic Development Council last year. So we had that announced in December of last year that we were one of the winners of capital funding to actually build the incubator. So we did that in conjunction with Travis High Properties, who's our landlord and who is the building owner and who's been a fantastic partner to us throughout this process. The operating funding comes through contributions from Cornell University, Ithaca College, and TC3, who are providing the funding required to actually run the space after it's been built. So those were two critical elements that needed to get sorted out, and we were able to sort that out by December of last year. Then it was working with John Snyder Architects, so John Snyder and his associate Corey Ryan on the design of the space, actually getting it built and up and running, working with the folks at Travis High and with Chase Construction. And then last but not least, getting it open and starting to admit companies, which was done with a number of people. So we hired Alec Mitchell, who's our incubator coordinator. He's a 2012 graduate of Ithaca College. And so he's the guy who makes Rev work. And we've got some other mentors and entrepreneurs and residents that we also have on board to help advise companies and provide programming.
Now, is that kind of collaboration between these three educational institutions common? Are they working together on any other kinds of projects, or is it mostly just this one?
So we had our grand opening on Monday, and President Scorton from Cornell, President Roshan from Ithaca College, and President Haynes from TC3 were all there on hand to celebrate it. And President Haynes made the point that he's not aware of any collaboration that's occurred with the three universities that's really been this engaged and this deep. I frankly was unaware of that before he said that. I know that there's been some areas of engagement before, but I was really proud to hear that. I think that This is a fantastic opportunity where each of the three institutions has a different constituency, a different set of strengths, and a different role to play. And I think the three together are a whole that are greater than the sum of the parts.
And thinking about the fact that the operational funding is coming from these three institutions, what do they get out of it?
So they get a lot out of it. So very simply, a lot of the members that we have, certainly not all, but a lot of the members are coming out of those communities. And so that's part of it in terms of a place for entrepreneurially minded students, alumni, staff, faculty to go. But all three institutions, I think much more broadly than that, recognize the role that they have to play in having a strong regional economy and how having a strong regional economy, quite frankly, helps those institutions. Cornell, as you probably know, is the largest employer in Tompkins County, and I believe the largest employer in the Southern Tier. By having other businesses thriving, other opportunities for employment, it actually helps Cornell and Ithaca College and TC3 when it comes to attracting people to work there and providing opportunities for people to stay. So the better the economy is, the better those three institutions will be. And so they view this as an opportunity to invest in that economy for the long term.
You mentioned that the incubator is not just its support system, it's this physical place. I'm wondering if you can tell me about the actual location and what's down there.
So we're in what is called the Carey Building, which is at 314 East State Street. We're a stone's throw from the Commons, right around the corner from Viva Taqueria. So we're right in the heart of downtown Ithaca, which was really important to us as we looked at a place to go. We wanted to be someplace that was really central, very easily accessible to the Ithaca community and to the university and college community. So we're equidistant from Cornell and Ithaca College, around the corner from TC3. Really importantly, we're right around the corner from lawyers, accountants, graphic designers, web designers, all the people in the business community that make up a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem, without whom entrepreneurs wouldn't succeed. So having those people nearby so that these companies can connect in is really, really important. The other thing that is also important, it's a little secondary, but also important, is we're right around the corner from great restaurants and bars and nightlife, and we want to be part of the downtown environment and part of the downtown community. And so it's really important for us to be there. So if you were to come into the space today, what you would see, you'd walk in the door, you'd see a very loft-like open space, kind of industrial, kind of modern. You'd see tables and chairs and people working, some workstation-y type areas, as well as some comfortable chairs and whiteboards and places for people to meet. Another thing that you would see is a workshop that contains things like Dremel tools and a drill press and a couple 3D printers and a laser cutter and a CNC mill for people who are working on business ideas around physical products.
And are there companies already working out of the incubator?
Yes, there are. So we announced 4 new members on Monday. We've actually already admitted another 2 more since then, and it's only Wednesday. So we're at 6 members so far. And in fact, I was just leaving the space, and it already had a good handful of people hard at work working on building their companies.
So what does it take for a company to actually be accepted into the incubator?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what it means is, first off, our members are member companies. So our members are not individuals, our members are companies. So that's the first important thing, is that these are organizations or entities. We don't really care if it's a C corporation or an S corporation or an LLC, or even whether or not there's a 501c3 exemption or not. That's all pretty immaterial to us. What we do want to have from the companies is an understanding of what their business model is. When I say business model, that could be manifested as a business plan, although to be honest, as practitioners and educators, we're not a huge fan of the traditional old school 50-page written business plan that gets printed out and then put on a shelf to just gather dust, because we found that those are not tremendously helpful. What's really important about that process, though, is having companies that identify who their customers are, what problem that customer has, how the solution in the form of a service or product solves that customer problem, and what value the customer places upon that. Those are all things that we expect member applicants to have figured out, or at least have an opinion about, before they get to us. The other thing that we need that's really qualitative is we're looking for an incubation plan from the company. It doesn't have to be long, even a page or 2, but some articulation of, as we join the incubator, this is what we as an entity are going to do over the next year or 18 months to move our business forward. And that's really going to be a guidance document for us So as we work with the company and help them and mentor them and connect them to people and resources, we want to know what their plan is so that we're doing it in context with where they want to go. There's a couple other administrative things, like a basic insurance requirement that we require people to have basic business liability insurance. If they have employees, obviously they've got to have workers' compensation and stuff like that. But the real thing is the incubation plan and the articulation of the business model.
So is there any kind of financial or capital support that a business would get from the incubator, or is it simply the use of the space and the resources there?
At this point, we don't have any capital sourced for member companies, although one of the things that I have as a background, as well as my colleagues who are mentors, have all done is we've all raised money before. And so across all of us, we've raised equity capital, loan capital, grant capital in a variety of different forms and sources. So we've got a lot of experience there. And so one of the things that we recognize that member companies will want to use us for is introductions and advice so that they can help raise money. Over the longer term, we're working on some programs where we hope to be able to have some capital sourced to help these companies in the incubation system grow. But that's a second or third step for us.
Was there ever any thought to maybe directing some of these resources to existing businesses to maybe support them and help them grow and adapt as opposed to just starting companies from scratch?
Sure. So one of the things that we are planning to do at Rev is to offer programming. And some of our programming will be just for members, but some of our programming will be open to the community. And then, the other thing, frankly, is that within the incubator system, we're part of the New York system, the New York State system. We're part of this certified innovation hotspot. Because of that, certain members, if members are less than 5 years old, have access to some tax benefits. But beyond that, if a business that's older than that wanted to join the incubator so that they could get advice, mentoring, and support, we'd be happy for that as well. Other than the tax benefit restriction, which is placed upon us by the state and is part of the rules of that program, that's the only thing that is any kind of age requirement for the business in terms of how new the business needs to be.
And that tax program you're referring to, that's Startup NY, correct?
It is not, actually. It is a different benefit under the Innovation Hotspot program. So the state has moved aggressively over the last 2 years to create tax incentive programs for companies that start and grow businesses in New York State. And so we went from having a couple things that are now defunct, like the old Empire Zones program. Now we actually have two programs. One is called Startup New York, and then the other is this Innovation Hotspot / Certified Incubator program. By being a member of this Innovation Hotspot, we actually are able to provide tax incentives to member companies in a way that, frankly, is a little bit easier to qualify than for Startup New York. Startup New York has requirements around committing to job creation targets, as well as alignment and kind of certified alignment with academic institutions, which is different from what we have at the incubator. In my other role at Cornell, I also work on Startup New York for Cornell. So if companies were to come and they felt that they qualified for Startup New York, we'd be able to help them with that as well.
And Tom, if people wanted more information about the incubator, where could they find it?
Online at revithaca.com.